Hello, and welcome to Tales from the Twist, the podcast where we recap your childhood. My name is Joe Lewis, and I'm joined by my co-host Anthony Bull.
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
I'm going very well. We are a podcast.
We are.
That recap your childhood. Recapping your childhood primarily meaning that we talk about shows from your childhood, including Captain Planet and Round The Twist. And this week we are talking about Round The Twist, Season 3, Episode 12. Are you excited to talk about the episode, Anthony?
Of course I am.
Well, let's just get straight into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't have any time for small talk today.
Really? That's rude.
I just don't want to hear about your week.
Alright.
I don't want to hear about it.
Fair enough.
We're talking about the episode If Walls Could Talk, and it starts off, there's a teaser at the beginning, and it starts off with a storm. Bronson's sleeping, and there's banging, laughing, and cackling. Now, if I want to interject here with something that we like to do every time we have an episode of Round the Twist, we have Pontillo's pontifications. A man named Regan, fabled among men, a hero among monsters.
Sure, call our fan base monsters. Sure.
I just meant monsters as in the general population of people.
So
a lot of monsters out there. He's a hero.
As monsters?
Well, some people, most people.
Most people are monsters. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I wouldn't get political, but we'll hold that for at least 10 minutes.
Alright.
Regan, he's written in and he said, this lightning storm, at the beginning of the episode, it's lightning outside, the storming. He says he reckons that they've taken it directly from Season 1, Episode 5, which is my favourite episode, Spaghetti Pig Out.
Yeah.
When the lightning strikes the lighthouse and electricity shoots across the room from the light switches. Now, we went and checked this episode on Anthony's computer, and yes, the lightning storm is exactly the same.
Yeah.
However, it's only that one shot. It doesn't do the lightning inside the episode, obviously, because we're not looking at, electrifying a remote control.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're looking at scaring a young child.
Why waste money on new computer-generated effects when the old effect was just fine? In fact, I don't even know was it an effect or was it just like they took a camera during a storm and they just shot something electricity? I don't know.
It looks pretty good, but I think it is a special effect.
Yeah.
Like, I think they've done that somehow using old technology.
It's good enough. I'd use it. I'd do the exact same thing.
You do what?
I do. If
create a lightning storm.
Well, like necessarily, like if I had to do another lightning strike on the lighthouse 20 years in the future, and I had the quality that had its Spaghetti Pig Out, which was pretty decent. It wasn't crap. It actually looked believable. Yeah, I'd use it. I'd just use that.
Sure.
Would you?
I don't know. Probably if it looked okay.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is they only use about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So immediately you don't think about it. I didn't think that it was the same.
Well, I mean, it wasn't until Regan was pointed out. I'm like, oh, yes, this is the kind of content we like from Regan. He picks up the ball when we drop it.
Yeah.
And he helps us run to the end zone or touchdown line, try line, sports goal line.
Carry the 4 to the try
place.
Yeah. There's lightning around and Bronson's sleeping and he wakes up and there's the laughing and cackling stops and the episode starts. And Tony's downstairs and he's saying, she loves me not. He's doing the thing that girls do in old TV shows and movies where they have the flower and they pull off a petal. And the idea is if you get to the last one, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like she loves me or she loves me not.
Yeah.
Or he or whatever gender that you're aiming at, whatever. You've done that?
Yeah.
The problem is...
It's like, I don't know, she loves me not, or I'm eating cake, I'm eating not. And then it's like, if you don't get what you want, you just start a new flower.
Again, which is what Tony does.
Yep.
But the problem is that it's a binary. So if it's an odd number...
Yeah.
Or an even number for that matter, you know which one you're going to end up on.
Not necessarily, because you have to know how many petals are on the flower. And if there's a lot of petals on the flower, it's that you haven't counted it.
It's random.
Yeah, it's going to be random in that regard.
Yeah, I just think the whole exercise is futile. Like, you're better off doing something about it rather than just sitting around moping about whether or not he or she loves you.
Well, we think we've already discussed that.
Whether or not you should have cake.
We think we've discussed where, people should be doing something about it because she's under a spell. So, but again, they decide, nah, that's the season finale style of a problem. We'll leave it for 3 or 4 episodes instead of resolving it the very next episode.
So, touching on that, Linda then rages at Tony and she says, you keep your moping down here, Tony.
Oh, that pissed me off.
You jerk. We're trying to study here in the middle of the lighthouse, not in our own private rooms where we have desks and you can't disturb us. But we've come down into your private space to do study and we've expected you to stop moping about something that we could directly control.
Yep. And this is your book, Linda.
This is your mess, kid.
yeah, this is your book. People have stolen it from you, so fair enough. But still, like, you know all about the book. You haven't done anything about it. And you're like, oh, why don't you just stop moping? Why don't you do something, Linda, for your dad? Why don't you and bloody Pete? Because I feel like you're smarter than Pete, so you should be doing something. I don't expect Pete to do anything because I don't think he's smart enough to figure it out. Read between the lines. And Bronson, oh, God forbid Bronson could put two things together, you know?
Yeah. Tony says, okay, I'll let you study for the Port Noranda Egghead competition. And Linda says, well, it's smart kid competition. There's $1,000 for a winner. And Tony's really sad because not only did he get the name of the competition wrong, but his soulmate left him for Ralph Snapper.
Yeah, that's got a sting.
And Pete and Linda tell Tony that the spell's going to wear off. Oh, don't worry, Tony, the spell's going to wear off at some point. It's like, you know how that spell could wear off, Linda and Pete?
Mm-hmm.
If you did something about it.
Yep.
If you got off your big bottoms.
Yeah.
And went and did something productive with your time instead of studying for something that you know Anthony's going to win.
Yeah, pretty much. It's either going to be Anthony or it's going to be Gribble.
Anthony being the token science nerd of this season who is super smart for whatever reason.
If there was a maths prize, okay, to win $1,000.
Yeah.
And we were at our school during our year level, I'm not going to bother studying. I already know who's going to win that. An Asian friend of ours who we went to school with, whenever you'd play maths games, the teacher would put this massive equation on the board. He'd answer it like straight away. He'd be like, it's no point. Why am I competing against this guy? Does he even read? Does he read maths or something and solves it in his head like it's a word?
Yeah.
Maybe a synesthesia or something. I don't know.
Bronson comes down to help study, but he knocks water all over Pete's notes. He says, oh, sorry, it was an accident. And Pete says, you're the only accident around here. Get lost. It's like, you're a jerk, Pete.
Yeah.
What a jerk. Your 7-year-old brother's come down to help you study, and just because he's a useless ginger with no hope and no future...
And no soul, apparently. According to Joe.
He's rejected by his family. Must be tough.
It must
be tough being Bronson. Although I don't have sympathy for him because he's a jerk.
Yeah.
He's a little jerk.
I do.
And you know what? If he tipped water over my notes, I'd probably be ruder than Pete. So you know what? I think I'm changing my mind. Go away, Bronson. Nobody wants your help, especially when they're studying.
At 2:47, he says, Bronson, you are so useless. So finally, Pete is clued in to something we've been saying for the last 30, 40 episodes. You know?
Hasn't been 40 episodes.
Yeah, where we've been just basically saying, Bronson, you're useless. Now everyone else knows Bronson is useless. They've woken up to the truth.
One day I'll put together a supercut of us just saying, Bronson's useless. Oh, here comes Bronson.
Yep.
He's useless.
Yeah,
just
that'd be good.
Hour.
An hour of just useful. Bronson, you're useless. And then just do that, but times it by like 10. So then you get one of those 10-hour remixes. Bronson, you're useless.
Yeah, that'd get lots of views, wouldn't it?
People love those 10-hour bullshit videos. I don't understand that.
They like to have it on a loop. It's calming.
Stupid.
I used to listen to the 10-hour loop of Epic Sax Man.
Yeah,
do you remember
you're
Epic
fucking
Sax Man?
retarded.
Yeah,
I remember that guy. I'm trying to not do copyright or something. So if I put a little space in the middle,
yeah,
it's fine.
So when the machines,
there's machines out there wouldn't pick it up. They go, I've got to strike that account.
The magical copyright machines.
Yeah.
Bronson says, "Well, what's wrong with you, Dad? You look sad." And Tony says, "You're too young to understand the ways of the heart. Pass me another flower." And Bronson reaches for a vase that has a lot of flowers in it, and he knocks it over and tips water all over Tony. And he runs upstairs frustrated, Bronson that is, and not Tony, although I wouldn't be surprised if it was the latter. And Bronson says, "I'm too young and useless. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to talk to the walls and the furniture?" And then it's at this moment that some magical lightning hits the magical lighthouse and imbues Bronson with more magical powers.
Mm-hmm. And then he yells out, he goes, "Well, the walls don't talk back!" And I can only imagine Tony, right? Because he's upstairs and then he slams the door and then Tony's just like, what the fuck is he talking about? These walls don't talk back. Although he's so mopey, he probably wouldn't have paid attention as the terrible father that he is. Yeah,
he is a terrible father and also a terrible artist. But some terrible lightning strikes the terrible Limehouse, and terrible Bronson is imbued with more powers, and we have a trip sequence. It looks like Bronson's taken some LSD, his head's all over the screen, 4 images overlapping each other, and a lamp or wardrobe begin to speak. And also, there was a fan as well, and they're all talking, they've all got weird accents.
They basically tell Bronson to go and kill Nell.
They say, "Bronson, go and burn down the school."
It'll be fun. everyone will love you, and everyone will want to talk to you if you burn down that school.
A man in a rabbit costume appears and tells him to flood his school.
Why not?
Never mind.
I get it. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were like, oh, okay then.
No, I know. Right. If man in a rabbit suit appears, I'm going to die in 7 days, right?
Yes.
Yes. Cool. Yes. If anyone else out there knows, post it on the reply. Or whatever. I don't know. Just
why has this become a thing?
I don't know.
It didn't need to be a thing.
A lovely little trivia. People go, well, I know what they're talking about. Except I already know what someone will say.
What?
He'll say, it's BDSM the movie.
Yeah, one of our fans always likes to bring up any connection he can with this podcast and BDSM. I'm not sure why. He's got some sort of fixation. Thanks for listening, though. Like, if you do listen, otherwise, I think maybe you just post things on our Facebook page.
That's fine.
Because I don't know why has he been drawn to us?
Because we're such...
It's thousands of Facebook pages. Like, why is he so interested in comparing everything? Are we the only ones that don't delete him? That's probably it.
No, we do Round the Twist. He likes Round the Twist.
Yeah.
You know, likes Linda. Whatever, man. I don't care. Post whatever you want. Shit.
Tales from the Twists, the place where you can post whatever you want.
Because I don't care.
So the lamp, the wardrobe, and the fan, they're all speaking. They've all got accents. The wardrobe has the stereotypical Italian accent. Somebody on Round the Twist staff must have a problem with Italians. Because the racist Italian accents are really getting out of hand on the show.
Yeah.
Is this 2 episodes in a row? Is Ice Cream Man Cometh last episode?
I think it was. Last episode was Ice Cream Man Cometh. So I don't understand why... Like, hey, let's just make him Italian. Because he could be Scottish, maybe? Or something? Or
Why not? But there's lots of accents. And maybe they have a limited accent range. And so just like, we'll use Italian. We'll use whatever.
Yeah, because nobody could do Italian. And even this... Which, fair enough, because sometimes, like, most people are Scottish. You ever heard people who can't do Scottish accents, they end up with, like, an Irish accent, which is fair enough, but because they're very similar.
Yes.
But they also will then end up with a Jamaican accent.
Ah, yes.
At one point.
Yeah.
I have that problem, so, you know.
Bronson freaks out, and the fan says, maybe he's just never heard a cupboard speak before, and the wardrobe says, excuse me, it's a wardrobe. Because there's a big distinction, because cupboards are where you put cups.
That is true.
And wardrobes are where you put wards.
Well... Yeah, no, it's where you put your robes. It's where you ward
I was making a joke.
It's where you ward your robes.
You ward them.
You ward them.
What does it mean to ward something? Is it protecting it?
It means to illuminate an area for a certain period of time.
All right. Thanks for playing some MOBAs, Anthony. I'm glad that 3,000 days of your life is
If you know what that is a reference to.
No, don't. This doesn't need to be a thing. If we make a throwaway reference, it doesn't... if you know the reference that we just made. What is this? Like, we're making a podcast here. We're not making look how many pop culture things I can reference. I guess that is podcasting these days.
It is, isn't it? Pop culture, so much pop culture. Whoa!
Pop culture news, guys. We love it.
Yeah. Back in time, like, how would you do news about pop culture, though? Isn't that weird?
What do you mean?
Well, like, a lot of pop culture is in the past. Like, take nostalgic pop culture, especially.
Yes.
A lot of it's in the past. So doing news about the past?
Well, it's basically what reboot has come out this week.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I guess so. I mean, I would like to see someone do, like, news from the past in the future.
Like what?
I don't know what that would
What's
look like.
news in the past and the future?
Just
but
basically
the future would
like,
be the present if you were in the future.
Yeah, so
you'd just be doing
you just go
old
like
news.
Yeah, just do old news as if it was today's news.
Because that's extremely exciting. Why don't you just watch old news that has already been published?
Why would you do that?
Why would you bother to make new news or watch new news?
Because you're an artist.
Old news.
You're an artist.
I'm getting confused now.
Goma would pay for it.
Goma would definitely pay for it.
Yeah.
Because they're terrible. Bronson freaks out and he runs downstairs and he says, guys, the lamp's talking and the wardrobe's talking in Italian. And the Twists go, we better go and investigate, guys. And they run upstairs and nobody believes him, as is usual for this lighthouse, because whenever something weird happens, it's not, well, yeah, that's probably correct. It's, no, this person must be crazy, even though 1,000 times we've seen ghosts and dragons and all sorts of weird things.
Yeah, the kid's not taking his medication.
Do you reckon he's on medication?
He should be on medication. I think he is.
If Bronson... I don't know if the territory we're getting in here is a bit shaky, but if Bronson had some sort of condition, what condition would it be?
Okay. Interesting. Right now, in this current condition, at least, would be probably schizophrenia. Probably schizophrenia. Would be the conditioning he has.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he also might have elements of... I'm not sure.
He
it's not
probably
narcissistic.
has
What's the,
ADHD or something.
ADHD, some schizophrenia. I don't know if those two blend together. I'm not a psychologist. Like, you might be like, you have ADHD, it's very unlikely you could have schizophrenia or something.
Oh, really?
I don't know. It might be. Because, like, they're different areas of the brain.
The way the neutrons fire?
Yeah, the Jimmy Neutron's fire. Yeah. I don't know how it works. Science, man. I don't get it.
I want to take this opportunity to do another pontification from our friend and listener, Pontillo. And he says, the inanimate objects talking to Bronson is an example of another phenomenon affecting one of the inhabitants of the lighthouse. As I haven't made many comments on this particular episode, I'd like to take the opportunity of going into my thoughts on how strange things happen when you're going to the Twist family. My belief is, because the Twist family inhabit the lighthouse, that is the reason why strange things happen to them, both inside and outside the lighthouse. For example, if the Twist family were to move out of the lighthouse and another family to move in, then I believe the new family would experience all of the strange events and the Twist family no longer would. Basically, the lighthouse itself is the conductive source of all things strange and abnormal, and the inhabitants of the lighthouse are then affected.
Yeah.
What do you think? So, Pontillo's saying that the lighthouse is the conductor for strange things, something we've talked about very briefly before. He's put it more explicitly. Do you think that if the family to move away, strange things would still happen to them, or do you think it's firmly rooted in the lighthouse? Like,
I will call this theory the Amityville TARDIS.
The Amityville TARDIS. Okay, explain your references.
So, TARDIS is obviously from Doctor Who, and when you're in the TARDIS, when you come out of the TARDIS, you have energy from the TARDIS. And it's a bullshit excuse they use on Doctor Who as to why you can understand people's languages in outer space.
Why everyone has a British language accent.
When everyone has a British accent. And also, like, why you can access the TARDIS because you have, like, you can get into the TARDIS because you've had spiritual energy from the TARDIS or whatever. Okay? But that's why no one else could get in the TARDIS, because they don't have the blueprint of the TARDIS on them or whatever. But however, if you stay out of the TARDIS long enough, it doesn't, I don't think it works. I think it dissipates, right? If it doesn't or doesn't, very relevant. In my opinion, in my theory, it does. The scary Round the Twist theory, you will still have this residual effect from the lighthouse. Now, the Amityville horror thing is that that house was possessed.
Okay.
And screwed over and they fucked around. And if you ever seen the Amityville horror, it's like the house comes to life, it tries to get rid of its residents and stuff. So basically, the house does strange shit. It infuses the people and makes the strange stuff happen to them, but it also gives a residual effect of them so that when they leave the lighthouse, strange things still happen. But they have to keep coming back. I feel like they have to recharge at the lighthouse unknowingly.
Yeah.
So if they leave for long enough, strange things will stop happening to the Twist family.
It's very different, the lighthouse, this theory that you're saying and Regan's saying, to another horror franchise, the Paranormal Activity franchise, where it's people themselves are the ones that have this paranormal entity attached to, rather than the house. So in Paranormal Activity, the way that they explain away, you can't move away from your problems, is that the demon is attached to the person and it's not attached to the house. So if they were to move away and go to a new location, which costs more money, it wouldn't mean anything because it's attached to the person. So that's why they stay in the house.
Yeah.
Good plot convenience. It's an okay reason, but not apparently attached to the twists. Yeah. I don't know. Like, there is something about the twists, like their backstory, the mother mysteriously disappearing. Bronson's always had some sort of thing attached to him with his feet. Maybe that's just because he's so young, the energy is more affected on him or effective to him. Like, when you're a child, you learn languages easier. Maybe you also learn paranormal stuff easier.
So here's another idea.
Yes.
What if the Twist's mother has died, and the Twist mother is trying to communicate with the Twist family through the lighthouse? How?
But we've seen ghosts come explicitly. Why couldn't she just appear?
Well, I don't know how difficult. I don't know the dynamics of ghosting. Who knows?
Why not?
Because I'm not a ghostologist.
Didn't Nell explain it to you?
No, she didn't explain it to me. But maybe she's trying to come through and, like, she can't. And there's, like, maybe a queue. Maybe she's to join a queue like at a meat deli. She has to, like, take a ticket number. So all these other ghosts have to come through first. The Twist
can't find anything in Bronson's room. And Pete and Linda go downstairs. They think he's crazy. And Tony says, "It's been hard for all of us. And I haven't spent much time with you. I'm really sorry." And Bronson says, "Do you still miss Faye, Dad?" And he says, "Yes. I just want to know how she's feeling." And Bronson, he promises to help because he's a good son.
Yeah.
Tony says good night. don't chat it to the desk drawers. It goes downstairs or upstairs or wherever it goes into another dimension. I don't care. I don't think we've ever seen Tony's room.
No, I don't think we have
Maybe
either.
just lives in the shed.
Maybe.
And Bronson goes to bed, and the pillow says, "Could you sleep with your mouth closed tonight? I'm sick of all the drool bath, mate." And Bronson runs, and he gets some sort of plunger thing to use as a weapon against the talking pillow.
And doesn't understand that it's an object, so...
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. The plunger thing could also talk.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm kind of surprised they didn't do that.
It's kind of stupid because also his clothes should talk, which, you know...
Would be weird.
Yeah, it would be weird, but okay. Whatever. And his underpants too.
Yeah.
And every piece of toilet paper is every piece of toilet paper. It's serrated, right? Is every piece of toilet paper alive and sentient?
Well,
or is it only sentient when you tear a piece off?
Well, let's just get into that in a sec. Bronson says, "What's going on?" And the furniture, they say that they can now talk because he wanted them to talk. So everything inanimate can now talk to him.
Yeah.
Everything. Now, as you were saying, does this apply to toilet paper? Does this apply to, I don't know, anything? Your pants, your underpants, grass. I guess grass doesn't because they're not technically inanimate. But what are the limitations of what it applies to?
So here's some things that it should apply to that it clearly doesn't. Concrete.
Food, I'm surprised they didn't do.
Yep, food. So what else is there? There would be statues.
Yes.
Statues don't seem to have an application. The earth, like rocks and stuff, should be talking to him.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because...
Water should also talk to him as well.
Well, we've already done water talking to him.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's sort of an inanimate object
I don't think
anyway.
water is an inanimate object, though.
Cars.
Water is the fluid of life.
Cars should also talk to him. But, is
Anyway,
it just the car will talk to him, or will it be the steering wheel is angry at the muffler?
There is one very important rule that they say, and they say, if it doesn't want to talk to him, he shouldn't force it to. It's the only important rule of this Dr. Dolittle inanimate object power.
Their little
sort
of libertarian society of
Yeah, don't force us to do things we don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's morning. It's breakfast. Bronson's listening to the objects and he's helping them out. And he's talking to his family saying, "That bowl doesn't like muesli. Use that one. It likes Cocoa Pops." And he says, "Don't put the jug near the juicer." And the Twists think he's gone crazy. And Bronson says, "Morning, fridge." And then he announces that he can talk to any object and he can tell anyone secrets. Like the objects will tell you secrets. You can pass them on. It's like, okay, Bronson, whatever.
Okay, cool. I'll make an appointment with the doctor tomorrow.
They don't believe him. And he says, I'm not useless. And Pete says, "You sure he wasn't swapped at a hospital? Because I saw this Leonardo DiCaprio movie." What movie is he talking about here?
I looked it up, and I think if it's not a lie, like they just made it up,
Yeah.
he might be talking about Men in the Iron Mask.
Okay, what's that about?
So it's the Three Musketeers, basically, and I forget exactly what happens, but the Man in the Iron Mask is Leonardo DiCaprio plays two roles.
Yeah.
And he's a twin.
Okay.
He's the King of France, but the true King of France is actually kept in a prison in chains with iron mask, so people don't know that he's the king.
It's basically Pauper and the Prince, right?
Yeah, but I think the mother swapped them at birth, and that was the idea. I think that's what it was. So that might have been what it was. It sounds weird though, because it's like that's not really what he was going for, but
yeah,
sure.
I don't understand how that's applicable, because why would that matter if it'd been swapped at birth? He's still a weirdo. He's still part of your family.
I don't know. He's just trying to be like funny. Haha, look at me.
He was adopted. Well, I don't know why it's so important that children make out that somebody's adopted. Like, you're not part of our family. You don't belong here. You're an imposter. Like, I don't know why that's important.
Because kids are kids, man. I can't understand them. I don't try to.
You don't speak Rugrat language?
I don't speak Baby Genius bloody language or whatever.
Baby Geniuses.
Yeah.
What a film.
What a film. What a quality film. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 Anthony's for that movie. It's school. Bronson loves the Cockney gate that lets him in. "Oh, yeah, thanks, Bronson. That's great, mate." I can't do Cockney.
It's like, okay.
Can you do Cockney?
It's like, I can't, I don't know. It's the problem with accents is like when you're trying to force to put on an accent, it becomes really hard to put on an accent. And then you don't know if you're doing it right. Because then you force it. You force the accent. It's like, "Hello, governor. I'm a Cockney British bloody gate. Hello, Bronson. Would you like me to open for you? Cheerio, old chap." Or some shit like
Cheerio, mate.
And like I said, your accent turns into something else. Like Scottish turns into Jamaican really easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've heard. Faye and Snapper arrive with the Viking Book of Love, and Gribble is showing off a big check for the Smart Kid competition.
Yeah.
So he's here with his big check, Mr. Gribble, and he's saying, who apart from the podgy boy thinks this is a very big check? And they podgy meaning fat. I thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
So thanks for, getting involved in what I was saying.
Yeah, I get
A
it.
bit of
Podgy boy.
co-host interaction would be nice.
Oh, look at that fat kid. Is that what you were after?
Yeah.
You want me to laugh at the fat children?
Did you take abuse for your weight when you were younger?
No.
Okay.
It's like, I don't know, like, fucking, no, not really. No. Yes, no, I don't fucking know.
I got made fun of because I was real skinny.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a shit reason. People make fun of you for weird reasons.
I make fun of you because
they'd be
you're
like,
a jerk.
I used to be like really thin as a child, and they called me Anthony the Panthony, the big fat Anthony, so it didn't make any sense on any level.
The big
I was
fat,
thin?
What? The big fat panther.
The big Anthony the Panthony, the big fat Anthony, and I was actually like super skinny, and I was just like it really upset me as a child, but I'm just looking back, I'm like, why would, like if I was an adult and my child told me that happened, I'd be like, why the fuck is he upset? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's a dumb. I'd just probably go and teach him some new swear words.
Yeah.
New ways to insult his friends. Like you say, what does she look like? Oh, she's got glasses. Call her a fucking four eyes.
Speaking of primary school, one of the things that we did at our primary school was play a game. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was something to the effect of diarrhea cow or something. That like somebody had. You pretended that someone was a cow with diarrhea and they would chase you around. It was basically Tiggy. It was like, oh, the diarrhea cow's coming. I can't remember what it was called. It had a rhyming name, I think.
I remembered, I don't know if I said this on the podcast, a game they played in primary school called Let's Run Away from Anthony.
I was told about this game. I remember that you got in trouble for like throwing rocks at ants or something.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Me that story.
It's so bullshit. We got the cane for it as well.
What were you doing? You were throwing big rocks on a pile of ants.
See, they thought we were like pegging rocks at each other. Like this little girl said, "Oh, they're throwing rocks at each other." But what we were doing was like, I was pretending to be like a bomber. We were pretending to be bombers, and we had like bombs, like rocks, and we're dropping bombs from our hands.
Yeah.
So it was like we were pretending to be fucking planes or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I'm throwing rocks at each other. And so we got the cane for throwing rocks. I was like, this is bullshit. Now I don't respect authority.
That's why you're a libertarian. Yeah. Because you got in trouble for bombing an ant's nest.
I want to be able to bomb an ant's nest if I damn well choose to.
You're just like the government, just like the Americans. Bronson runs over to the check presentation, and Anthony is there, and he thinks that he's going to win because he doesn't go out. He studies 5 hours every night, and he's got an IQ of 198. And Bronson says, can you talk to furniture? Because that's way better than anything you can do. And the Gribble gang, they leave the conference. They sneak away. And Bronson follows them and hides in the toilet. And they start talking about how they're going to cheat, pretty standard Gribble stuff. And how they need to win because the $1,000 or however much money Mr. Gribble, I don't know what this competition's for, but he wants his son or someone in the gang to win so that he gets to keep the money.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
But the problem is, why would he run the competition in the first place?
PR.
Just PR?
Looks good. Makes him look
There's
really
no
good.
Direct financial incentive? Is there an entry fee to this competition?
No, it's just that good PR so that you leverage the good PR to offset the bad things you want to do. Yeah. He's a bad guy, but he donates money to the school and hosts competitions, which his son wins. Fair and square, mind you.
Yeah.
You know, fair enough.
Bronson's hiding in the toilet cubicle, and the toilet says, your face is very flushed. Oh, sorry, no one appreciates good toilet humour anymore. The problem is, Mr. Toilet, your humour's not good. Might be toilet-related, not good.
And the toilet couldn't be like, help him out?
Well, the Gribble gang hear a noise, and they rush in to attack Bronson, and they say, we're going to do a bit of brainwashing. I think they're implying they're going to stick his head in the toilet. And the toilet protects Bronson by shooting water all over the Gribbles. And the towel dispenser, the paper towel dispenser.
I thought it was like toilet paper.
The toilet paper dispenser, whatever. The paper dispenser of the toilet gives you a courier mail. It shoots paper all over the Gribbles and goopity goop goop.
So hang on. So then the paper itself isn't actually alive? Or if it is the towel dispenser forcing the paper to do something it doesn't want to do?
To die. Maybe it wants to die.
Maybe it does. Maybe it's one of those...
suicidal towels.
Yeah, it's like kamikaze towel.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Like in Fallout 4, the
it's-
super mutant suiciders.
Yeah, when I first saw those things, I was like, hey, this beep, beep, beep. I'm like, what is that? What the fuck? I
Both-
see it in bats. I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god.
Both Anthony and I are avid fans of Fallout.
Yes.
And in the latest installment, there are super mutants that carry around mini nuclear bombs and blow themselves up at you.
Yes, so you need to kill them before they obviously kill you.
At the first couple, I was like, whoa, I didn't know how to deal with them. But then I quickly found out once I had a combat rifle to shoot them in the head like 2 times and they die.
Yeah, they die pretty easy. That's the benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At school, they're doing a test. And Bronson, he's about to do the test. And his desk offers him the answers. And he says, oh, listen, mate. The guy who used to sit here before you used to always cheat, but he's in jail now. So, that's pretty good incentive to cheat.
Yeah.
Even though I'm asking you to, like, what is the logic here?
Why even tell the child that he went to jail?
I don't get it.
I wouldn't tell him that.
The teacher's desk says, don't listen to him, Bronson. And Bronson says, be quiet. And Faye chimes in. She says, am I too loud for you, Bronson?
Fuck you too, bitch.
Yeah, you know what? Faye, you can get out of here.
You know what I'd say? I'd say, excuse me, Miss Homewrecker. Are you too loud?
That is the most tragic part in all this, isn't it?
Yeah.
That Bronson still has to be taught
By
the person who forced him to call her mum.
Yeah.
And then
Now doesn't want to be a mum. That is like...
He already had mum issues.
Yeah, okay, so maybe this is even worse. I didn't even think of that when I was like, Mum, oh my god, you're right. Like, that's... Like, he opened up his heart for the second time.
Yeah.
And now it's been shattered. No wonder he's talking to bloody furniture.
He's developed schizophrenia over his mother issues.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, because this episode's very much about the fact that Bronson, he's isolated. He feels lonely. He feels like his whole family's abandoned him. Like, nobody's listening to him. They've all got their own problems. Like, Pete and Linda are always off doing weird adventures. Tony is heartbroken.
Yeah.
Faye, this person who kind of forced herself on his family that he didn't want to initially accept and then accepted as part of his family and as a mother and someone he appreciated, then left him basically as soon as he would appreciate him.
Yeah.
And now he's got nothing left and he's talking literally to the furniture. He doesn't seem to be friends with anybody in his class either. There seems to be some sort of weird thing going on. Maybe it's because he brought that child to school that one time and it pooed all over the floor.
Yeah, probably because he's a weird kid. Like, weird kids, nobody wants to hang out with weird kids at school.
What is the definition of a weird kid?
Whatever the kids... This is the thing with weird kids, is whatever the kids determine as weird. And it can be the most juvenile, nonsensical thing ever. It's like, you're weird because your hair looks weird. Or you were weird once. Or because the popular people say you're weird. But this one is more... You've actually done really weird things. Like, legitimately weird things. To the point where no one wants to hang out with you because you are legitimately a weird person. You've got all these weird things going on. You're a weirdo. No thanks. Don't want to be your friend.
We've often thought about the show in terms of like a lens through Nell.
Yeah.
Right? We're saying like, the whole show is this coma that Nell is happening to, deal with things that's happened in her past. But we haven't really seen her this season.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of out of the picture. So that coma theory kind of dissolved a little bit. And then we were thinking about, is it a lens for Linda? But I'm thinking...
Is it a lens for Bronson?
Maybe it's a lens for Bronson. Maybe it's not some sort of coma, but maybe it's,
his view of the world?
Yeah, children don't always see things the same as other people.
Yeah.
And I remember as a child, even though I knew things were fictional or whatever, I would imagine things that were fictional happening in real life on purpose and convince myself that they were real. Just because I was bored.
Yeah, actually, this makes a lot of sense.
Bronson, he's in this family. Like we were saying, he's had issues with his mother. He's got this family who are always off doing more important things.
Yeah.
And he's kind of feels left alone. And that's why he overcompensates by being louder, being irritating. He always wants to be involved because he feels left out. He feels left out of his family. He feels left out of his school. And so things start to happen to him. Oh, I saw a dragon. Oh, I saw whatever. So this whole show, maybe it's about Bronson coming to terms with the fact that his reality is shattered and there's nothing for him here.
There's like just all these things that make sense where it's like anything that's super Bronson specific, it could be his just imagination or his fantasy of what could happen. Whereas there's other ones where it's like, let's say Linda, when she did the Truth Hits Everybody, she might just be pretty decent at as a journalist.
Yeah.
But from Bronson's perspective, he doesn't understand how she could get people to reveal things or facts. So he just thinks it's some magical microphone or magical tool. And the Book of Love, that one's I like actually as well, because why is it that Linda and Gribbles hooked up together for that short period? I don't understand. As a kid, I thought they hated each other, right?
It's just teenagers.
It's a magic. It's just a magic thing, right? Yeah. And Faye basically doing the thing she did, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Tony actually, we haven't seen it. Maybe Tony was a big shift in their relationship together, and they had a big fight, and Snapper came in, like we said, to scoop her up. And from Bronson's perspective, it's like, this is just, it must be that they are, there must be some magic involved, because it doesn't make any sense that they would not stop loving each other, because you can't stop loving people, can you, as a child? You can't come to that. You don't understand that.
The creative invention to explain things that as a child you don't have the capacity to understand.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like we were talking about before with Regan talking about the lighthouse.
Yeah.
From Bronson's perspective, maybe that's correct. Like, he came away from this place of safety. Maybe he had friends there, maybe whatever. He come to this new place he didn't want to go to, and he's thrust upon this new world where strange things happen because of the lighthouse.
Yeah. Well, like, some other ones...
It is a strange place, and that would incite
there are some things that may not work, but there's other ones like the end of season 1. Everyone came to the lighthouse to try to save it. They want to demolish it. Because of the special ghosts. Or the city came together because they saw it was a heritage monument. Because if you tried to destroy the Split Point Lighthouse today, people would come together and rally and say, no, you can't destroy this. This is a fine piece of architecture. We want to keep it as heritage listed. But it makes sense that he would think there's ghosts there, because that's just what a kid would do.
Yeah.
Wow, this is a good theory.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Back to the classroom. The desks are shouting at each other. Bronson yells at them to shut up, and Faye is pretty mad. It's like, well, why are you just yelling shut up in the middle of class?
Because he has behavioural issues.
Because you've got behavioural issues.
Also, you walked out on my father.
Yeah.
You know?
Pete and Linda's class, Snap's bragging about his awesome test that he wrote, the Portland Around Egghead test, and also his new poetry book that he's apparently trying to sell copies of to his students, because that totally makes sense.
And that's not weird at all.
Your high school students are totally going to buy your Book of Love. Snapper, that's a great idea. And Linda says, I bet he stole all the poems from the Viking Book of Love anyway. And the Gribbles plan to steal the test. Later on, Rabbit, Tiger, and Gribble, they run over to Snapper and they tell him about 3 different fake emergencies that he needs to attend. So he quickly locks the test in the desk and rushes off. And the Gribbles are really disappointed because they can't get into the desk because it's locked.
Yeah.
You know, plot points. This is something I didn't like about this episode. There's some of the ones that I don't like do, where it's kind of like, beep, 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 like, kind of like throws in the points.
Yeah.
Like a whole scene will happen. It's like, well, did I really need a whole scene for that one, to establish that one kind of important plot point? But it would have been better if there was something else actually happening in that scene as well.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
What I'm trying to articulate?
It does.
Bronson's eating lunch outside, and the bench is complaining to him. And he says, I just wish someone real would talk to me. More evidence for our theory.
Yep.
And Pete and Linda, they plan to get the Viking Book of Love back from Snapper. Bronson thinks that he can help them because he can talk to the desk and he can talk to the lock and get them to open. And Pete thinks that's stupid, but the Gribbles, who know
who clued in
that the rules around the twist, they know that Bronson can probably do this. If Bronson says he can do it, weird enough things have happened, they can take advantage
and
of
even
this.
From the our new theory, it still works, because it's like, whatever the delusional thing he's talking about, whatever weird shit, the result seems to there seems to be a positive result whenever this kid thinks he can do something weird. Yeah. So screw it. Let's listen to him for a change. Gribbles. Gribbles are smart. We've said this before.
I was talking to my girlfriend about Tears of Innocence.
Yes.
The episode of Round The Twist. And she was saying the whole episode, we kind of alluded to it a little bit. The whole episode's a little bit creepy because of the name, Tears of Innocence.
Yeah.
Like, has something happened to Pete, basically. Something not very nice.
Is Pete gay?
What? No, he likes Fiona. But, you know, you're saying like maybe he...
Is he gay and got like, you know...
Well,
with the older man.
Maybe the older man did something horrible to him, and that's one of the things that is upsetting. And maybe that's how Bronson justifies it to himself. That it was like there's the leprechaun pot of gold. Yeah,
he was supposed to be a rainmaker, or supposed to help him out, or something.
Yeah,
yeah.
And
then it could have been that, or it could have just been. It's weird too, because then he gets paid, doesn't he?
Yeah,
around. That's weird.
You could get very. I like this theory because the implications are quite broad. And maybe when we do our season 3 recap, we can go through a couple of the major points of the season, or maybe as the show as a whole, and say like, this is what could have happened here, but maybe that'd be boring, so maybe we won't do that. Bronson sneaks into the staff room, and he talks to the lock and the desk, who don't like each other, and the desk says, "Go hang off a bike, you lock." And Bronson whispers to the lock. He whispers something to it. What does he whisper? We don't hear it.
You got any ganja, man?
And the lock says, "Thanks. You don't know how good it feels to unclench."
Because he's, well, I don't know. Maybe he wants to...
They get high together?
They get high together. Because, by the way, it's Jamaican. It's Jamaican lock.
Is it?
Yeah, the lock's Jamaican. That's his
shtick.
shtick.
We're talking about how Jamaican accents become out of every other accent.
Yeah, it's true. Which is weird. But, yeah, so... I don't know how to follow up from that. You just derailed me, Joseph.
All I'm trying to do is trying to get through the episode, and you're derailing me. It's a constant struggle.
It's
you know
it's
how
constant
it feels.
struggle of railing each other with bloody trains.
Let's not use the...
railing. The adjective railing.
Or the verb. Rail. Let's never say anything like that again, because that's weird. Bronson can't find the Viking Book of Love, because Snapper takes it with him everywhere. But Bronson tries to talk to Faye's diary, because he might be able to find out some information about, does Faye really still love his dad? But the Gribbles sneak in behind him and steal the test. And he says to Bronson, "If you don't tell, we don't tell." Classic primary school behaviour.
Yep.
"I won't dub on you if you don't dub on me."
Yeah.
You dubber.
You don't want to be a dubberer.
You don't want to be a...
Dubberinnerer.
Something
like that.
"I'm going to dubber in on you." The lighthouse. He's talking to his furniture, Bronson is, and they're very unimpressed. Faye's diary is really upset that they stole her, and that the Gribbles stole her test that belongs to whoever. Snapper doesn't...
You know what
really
I would have done?
Whatever. What?
If the objects had started doing that to me.
What?
I would have started setting fire to some of them. And I would have said, "You need to start talking to me." All right?
Why?
Because the objects think that they could control me?
Yeah, because they stopped talking in protest and saying that he used them. "You used us, Bronson.
Fire will make you speak.
You just start torturing them.
Well, you start killing. You kill one as an example, and then you threaten to kill the next person. And it's like, if you don't start talking, this guy's going up in flames. All right, this guy's going up in flames too. You create this
wave of destruction.
A wave of destruction and fear that keeps them in line. You need to make them so afraid that even when you sleep, they're too afraid to do anything to you.
And this is why Anthony should never be put in a position of authority, ever. The next day, Bronson's running late because the alarm didn't wake him up because it's not talking to him. But he's going to try and fix the problem, why they're not talking to him. And Faye calls in Tony to talk to her because Bronson's been talking to himself a lot, and she caught him stealing her diary. Ralphie thinks that he's having trouble at home because Ralphie must be correct. And this only breaks Tony's heart even more.
Of course,
Ralphie.
Call him Ralph. Fucking sorry. Like, seriously, you've been in a relationship with this guy, and come on. I'm no offense, but yeah, it's pissing me off, right? It would annoy me. Like, if that ever happened to someone, like, if you're in a relationship with them, and they're your teacher, and then you have to work with them on a co-work basis, and they refer to their new partner pretty soon. Not like it's been like a couple of months. It's a couple of like days, even.
Well, it's
a
weeks
week or
at this
two.
point,
Week or two. All right. As Ralphie, you know that he's got feelings for you. You would be saying, "Mr. Snapper." You should be conscious of that fact, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. One of the things we're going to talk about later, one of the Pontillo things that we're going to talk about is what are the actual constraints of the Viking Book of Love and how does it work? It's one of the Pontillo's pontifications.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that a little bit further on. Gribbles introing the smart kid test to the class because they're about to take it, and he's saying, "Let me share with you the story of my life. I was once like you, a nothing. And I built this great empire." You know, I feel like the Gribble backstory could be quite inspirational.
It could be, yeah.
You know, he was just a guy and he built up all this power and he's a staunch capitalist. He made all this money, you know.
I made my money.
The ins and outs of business.
I made most of my money flying over to third world countries and putting children into factories to help feed their families. Paid them at the award rate.
He created jobs, man.
From a positive spin perspective.
Tony and Faye are talking, and he says, "I think your thoughts matter, not Ralph's. What you think, not what Ralph thinks of me." And Faye gets a bit confused because Tony says it more confusing than me because I didn't write exactly down what he says. And she gets a headache and gets up to leave.
Yeah.
And Tony quickly tries to steal a diary, but Faye comes back, sees him, and takes it away. It's the test. The Gribbles are really smug, and Anthony says, well, I guess when you don't have a chance, you just don't care.
Automatic 0. Automatic fail.
Talking. Yeah, I thought that is
what
are you doing? What are you doing, Anthony?
You have talked enough. He's done enough exams. Like, I don't understand people who try to talk during exams. Even at a university, I've seen people do that, like, at the end of exams. Yeah. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I remember this one occasion. I was sitting in an exam. This was my master's course.
Yeah.
It was this Asian girl in front of me. She must have been a foreigner. When I say foreigner, I mean, like, she didn't live in this country for a long time. She's more exchange. What are they called? International students. That's it.
Thanks for saying that.
Well, it's more like
non-offensive way.
She's Asian. You could have lived here for like 10 years, so you would know the ins and outs of it. Whatever. The tests are covered until they do that bullshit 10-minute pre-test thing, which I really hate, because you go in there with all this information, and you're like, I really just want to spew it onto the paper. Yeah. They tell you, like, oh, mobile phone detectors will be used throughout this exam. Any court or something will be handled under misconduct. And it's like, oh, fuck, just shut up. Let me do my test. She turns over the exam. She starts looking through the exam because she's just like, wonderful exam. The test person came up to me and just grabs the exam, takes it off her, and she doesn't get an exam. She fucking failed. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing, woman? What are you doing? Stop looking at your exam. You don't want to fucking look at your exam.
Yeah.
She failed. I was like,
yeah. Did they make her stay there, or did they make her leave after they took her paper away?
They, I think they made her stay for a bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, it's like,
I've seen people do dubious things in exams, and I've heard about dubious things in exams. Our friends that did pharmacy. Yeah. Apparently, there was one exam where the lecturer wrote the answers on the board, and they were allowed to talk in the middle of the exam. The lecturer kind of turned away, and they were helping each other, and he's like, I can't see anything happening.
That's dodgy. That is dodgy. Look, I just have a rule of once you enter the exam room, silence until you leave the exam room. Even after the exam, I don't care. It's not until you've left the exam room that you can talk, or even try to make any type of conversation or communication. Because any slight idea that you might be communicating, you could have an asshole person running the test. You could have someone nice, and they will just fail your test. I remember one other time, sorry, just keep going, that the actual marketing lecturer was in the exam. He comes over to my desk, right, and he looks at my water bottle, right, and he picks it up, and I'm like, oh shit, what did I do? What is wrong with my water bottle? Oh god. Yeah,
because you're not allowed to have writing on it, right, as per university rules.
Right, so, and he looks at it, and he's just like, where'd you get this? And I was just like, I think Kmart. Oh. It's pretty good, eh? Yeah. And he puts it back down. I was like, cheers, mate, cheers. I was just like,
this is a nice water bottle, mate. Good luck on your exam.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's outside. Bronson sees Faye dropping her diary. She doesn't notice, and a dog picks it up. Oh, no. And Bronson races to catch the dog and save the diary from the dog, because he doesn't want the diary to be upset or to get hurt, because he's trying to fix his relationship with all of these inanimate objects, as any sane person would do. And Bronson, he runs and he chases it, and it gets away eventually, and he sits down in the middle of a playground, and he's really sad. And this kind of chain bridge thing tells Bronson that his diary is on the other side of the slide. Yeah. And so Bronson runs over there and he threatens the dog, and he says, listen, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to tell every wall, every fire hydrant that you turn your leg to pee on, that you were the one that ate this diary. Yeah. And you will suffer. They will get you. The walls, the hydrants.
They will come after
you. The grass, everything. They will come after you, and they will find you.
And they will kill you.
And they will kill you. And the drog pisses its pants. The drog.
Yes.
Yeah, didn't you know what a drog is?
I know I know the...
It's like a big troll.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I don't know what a drog is, actually. The drog drops the diary, Bronson grabs it, and he rushes to stop the cheating. He's like, I gotta stop them using the test to cheat on the exam. And in the exam, Rabbit's shirt goes up, and it reveals writing all over his stomach. And then Tiger's sleeves come off, and it's writing all over his arms. And then James Gribble rotates up in the air, spins around, and all these little notes come flying out of his shirt. And
now, was it mostly in a multiple choice, right?
I don't know. It must be.
Okay.
Usually the mass-produced exams. I don't know if this is a mass-produced exam. It might be a short answer.
Yeah.
But the big ones are usually, you're right, multiple choice, because they're easiest to mark.
Yeah.
You can just go through, boop, scan it through the machine, whatever, and it picks up and just tells you.
I don't know
and
why.
it removes any marker discrepancies.
Yeah.
Because either you got it right or you got it wrong. There's not, I kind of got it type thing, but that you can get in short answers. Like if you say something that's nearly right, and it's like, oh, is it right?
If
it takes that away.
You're going to do something like, and you're trying to cheat, why are you not just sort of basically like taking the key as one, instead of A, B, C, D, taking it as 1, 2, 3, 4, but then making it as dots or something?
Yeah.
So you just make it 1, 1, 2, 3,
Writing,
3, 3. And just, even on your hand, just sort of like, and then just having it as a watch, watch there. And people, the people might see something there, but it's like, it's dots. You can't prove that it's necessarily a test.
Yeah, writing on your hand aside, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen the full advantage of seeing the paper beforehand, other than basically just doing a practice test.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I know how to do this one, because you still have to do the exam.
Yeah.
Just because you've seen the exam before, you still have to do it. You might know what's on it, but you still have to do it. And that, there's some types of exams where that's actually a thing. They let you know the question beforehand so you can prepare for it.
Yeah.
And then but you still have to actually do it in exam conditions.
Yeah, of course.
Which is interesting. I was going to say something else, but I forgot.
Okay, fair enough. We'll move on.
We'll move on. Snapper's really mad and he says, "You think you can levitate in my class?" And Bronson talks to the diary, and Faye, it turns out, hasn't written in her diary since the Viking Book of Love spell happened. But she almost cried with happiness the day before the spell because of lilies.
So bio lilies, basically.
Tony took her to see some lilies or gave her lilies or something, and she cried with nearly cried with happiness, and apparently that's a good thing, crying. In this circumstance, they keep telling us it's a good thing. Bronson returns the diary to Faye. He apologizes to her, and he says, "I'm sorry for trying to steal it." And he says, "I just wanted to make sure that you still thought of us." So this is clearly a damaged child.
Well, it is. As well, because we find out that Tony doesn't understand what he's supposed to do. Like, oh, is her crying? Is that supposed to be it's a good thing? Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Like, he has no clue. He has no idea. So he might have been, he actually has done something wrong multiple times to her and, like, really hurt her feelings. In real life.
Yeah.
And he's just been have no clue whatsoever. And then when he has to go through this process of being included in that, he can rebuild the relationship by doing kind acts, showing that he actually genuinely cares. Because she's basically just with Snapper because I guess he's Snapper on the rebound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Gribble gives a prize to Anthony, and he's mad at James because Anthony won he won the test.
Yeah.
Congratulations, here's your $1,000. And Anthony has a speech about his favorite scientist, which is basically just him listing off in alphabetical order basically every famous scientist that has ever lived.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Bronson sends Tony to give Faye lilies to make her cry. And Tony says, "I respect your decision, but here's flowers because I still love you." And she cries. And she pretends that she's really happy that Anthony won the test. Yeah. Now here is where I wanted to refer to that Pontillo I was talking about earlier. And he says, "I thought it was interesting how Tony is able to extract a fragment of emotion from Faye with the help of Bronson by giving her flowers and reminding her of a memory they made together, even though she's still under the spell of the Viking Book of Love. This is something we as an audience haven't yet explored as an avenue and adds depth to what the book is capable of and makes us question if it truly is powerful enough to withstand true love." So the limitations, we're kind of told, like, you can make somebody love somebody against their will. That's all kind of clear, but is it possible to break the spell without the spell being reissued? What we're kind of getting hinted at in this episode is that it's not, but it is possible to kind of see through it a little bit.
I think it's possible to see through it or to put some doubt in there, but I only think it's not possible because I only want it to not be possible. And the reason why I don't want it to be possible is because
it's cheesy.
It's cliche, yeah. But that being said, Round the Twist is the kind of TV show that would love to use cliche. So I could see that working. That was actually my thought. I thought that Faye would actually eventually the Viking Book of Love would be read throughout the entire community, and of course all these curses to come because everyone's reading them accidentally, which I thought would be what will happen in the season finale.
Yeah.
Or I also thought that Faye would just naturally, break the spell because of true love. But I don't think it can be done.
Pete rocks up.
Yeah.
And he says, "Had any convos with a fence post lately, Bronson?" Now, the interesting thing here is that he comes from outside of the school into the school. Has he been wagging
Yeah, what? I don't know.
Where have you been, mate? Having a smoko down at the school dam.
Maybe you had a smoko after the exam.
And Bronson says, not yet, but maybe I will. And Pete says to a post, maybe I will too. What do you reckon? And the fence post says, not likely, pal.
And then he's like, whoa, strange things happened to me around the twist.
Yeah, and that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So, walls talking in which no walls talk.
Yeah.
I thought that was probably my biggest criticism. There's no walls that talk in this episode.
That is true. That is true. What would they talk about?
Let's give it some ratings. We'll start off with Pontillo, what we thought about the episode. And he says, a nice spin on the phrase, if these walls could talk. No sign of Nell in this episode, but Fiona manages to make an appearance for about 5 seconds to comment on something. One thing that left me wondering at the end of the episode was, does this mean Bronson and possibly Pete can communicate with inanimate objects indefinitely, or will it eventually wear off? What do you think? It seemed to imply that the power is still there.
I'm running under the new
Bronson
Bronson is a lens theory.
And so you think he won't?
He won't. It's also why I think Nell isn't actually Nell, or it is sort of Nell.
Yeah.
Right, Nell isn't our actual name. Right?
Who do you think Nell is?
Nell is just like the same way that
old lady.
Yeah, it's just a lighthouse attendant or someone who lives next door. It's an older lady.
Yeah.
And she's just, like you might refer to an older person as auntie or uncle or something like that. So they just refer to her as Nell. And he's just like, he thinks that once Nell Sands, the original Nell Sands, went to the Senate, she stopped living in Port Noranda, where she lived. Right. Then a new older lady came in and bought a house because chances are Nell only wanted to sell a house to someone who would actually like it.
Cast change.
Yeah, we explain the cast change. And then he just calls her Nell. He just refers to her as Nell. But she's not as active in the situation. She's not there as much. But he still personifies with all these things like, what's the explanation? Well, Nell always told us the explanation, so whenever she's around, maybe she could tell me what's going on. But in reality, she's just this old lady who's, there, and Tony, how neighbors are sometimes neighbors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pontillo has rated the episode 7 out of 10 bowls of spaghetti and a bowl of rice bubbles, pal, which is a reference to a line that he pontificated on and I didn't read out.
Yep.
In which Bronson says to Pete, you'll be laughing out the other side of your rice bubbles, pal. You can clearly see that Pete is eating Cocoa Pops. So thanks for that, Pontillo. Great work today. Anthony, how would you rate the episode?
7 bowls of laughing spaghetti.
All right.
Yep.
I'd give it 6 bowls of Diary dog cereal. And that is everything we have to talk about around the twist. Did you have anything else around the twist related?
Nothing around the twist.
Let's just jump in quickly to some fan feedback in which we read out feedback from fans. We've got a few different ones this week. Just going through them quickly. The first one we wanted to refer to was a best of list, 18 pop culture references to Australian kids that Anthony posted on our Facebook page. And Paul Granger commented and he says, I thought Logan was Bogan capital of Queensland, because Anthony said that he thought Ipswich was the Bogan capital.
Yep. But if you go on our encyclopedia page of Ipswich, it does indeed say that Ipswich is the Bogan capital of Australia.
And Paul thinks that Townsville comes a close second. So thanks for writing in, Paul.
There you go.
Always good to see some feedback. We've got another one here when Anthony posted the Dr. Blight episode that we released last week on the podcast. We record this a little bit in advance.
Yep.
And somebody named Simon Peter Austin said, gotta love Meg Ryan. So, yeah.
Who doesn't?
Yes, you do. And somebody named Kane Shakespeare says, David Rappaport voiced Mal in the first few episodes of Season 1. He recorded his lines before he took his own life in May 1990, 4 months prior to Captain Planet and the Planeteer's first airing. Mal was later voiced by the well-known Tim Curry from the later Season 1 episodes onwards, which is something we didn't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Hey, you know what I found out the other night?
What?
You remember Custard, the band, indie rock band Custard that Pete seems to like?
Yes.
Yep. Turns out the lead frontman of Custard is actually from Ipswich.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or at least he's from Kenmore, and he went to Ipswich Grammar School.
Okay.
So I was like, whoa, that's interesting.
Phil Bates has some feedback this week, and he says he thinks that I was talking about 2 different shows. A few episodes ago, I was talking about The Gift, a show which I thought was about... a gift that was given to a child, like a VCR, and they could see the future.
Yeah.
And Phil thinks I'm talking about 2 different shows. He thinks that The Gift was a show that had seers, and it spent half the series as a saxophone before turning into a house and key. The gift would be passed on, and these two seers would follow the gift as it passed through around the children. I do remember that show, Phil, but the show I'm talking about is a different show, which I thought was called The Gift as well, but turns out it wasn't.
Okay.
So there is a show called The Gift.
But Stephen Walpole seemed to indicate the show was on at during 98, 99, right?
Yeah, the show that Phil's talking about.
Yes.
The show actually called The Gift, not the show that I was trying to talk about.
A lot of listeners' feedback.
Yeah, a little bit. And one more. It turns out that Phil Bates was Leslie Love, the person who mysteriously reviewed our podcast a few weeks ago on the iTunes page, which you can do too, and you'll hear about a little bit more about that in a second. And also, somebody named John Brandon Dicaston had a go at me on the Chicken Twisties page, a page where you can talk to us about the show. You can give listener feedback. You can do Pontillo's pontifications if you want. You can do some philosophies for when we do our Captain Planet episodes. But he had a go at me, and he said there used to be single-serve chicken Hawaiian pizza squares at Woolworths.
And they're delicious.
Something that was relevant to Phil's review. And he said they sell them at Woolworths, but they stopped selling them.
Yep.
And they were basically making fun of me for not liking chicken Hawaiian. The greatest abomination that has ever existed.
And I said, that sounds like the most beautiful thing ever, and it's a shame it doesn't exist now.
If you have some relevant or relevant...
Irrelevant's fine.
Yeah, irrelevant feedback
you could be
or something
like,
you want to talk to.
The other day my shoe broke.
How can you have your feedback sent to us or read out on the show?
Well, first off, all right, you want to subscribe to us on iTunes, and then you want to give us a rating. That would be awesome. Go to our website, talesfromthetwists.wordpress.com. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Tales from the Twists, and you can also find us on Twitter at TFTT Twists. We also have Chicken Twisties, as Joe has indeed alluded to, and that's on Facebook. And to get in there, you just need to basically look up Chicken Twisties, or you can find a link in the show notes or post notes or whatever the hell it's called. Or actually, it's embedded in the episode download now. And you just need to click there and send a link and we'll approve it. Or if you want to send us a message, you can do it through our Facebook page. Just send us a direct message, which is great. Go on, do it. If you got it, hey, if you just want to say, hey, I'm George. I like chicken.
Hi, I'm
That's
George
cool.
from New York.
Yeah.
And I don't like carrying pens in my pocket because I'm afraid that they'll pierce my scrotum. If you want to send us a message like that, then feel free.
And please, tell us the reference.
Go on.
So, and then you can also just send us an email at talesfromtwist@gmail.com.
That is pretty much everything we've got to cover this episode. Thank you very much for listening. We're almost at the end of... I'm not sure when this episode will be released, but it's pretty much going to be at the end of 2015. So thanks very much for listening.
Yeah.
We had a great year. Hope you had a great year. Hope you have a great year. Stay twisty throughout all of that. My name's Joe Lewis.
And I'm Anthony Bull.
Reminding you yet again to stay twisty.